Admire them. Are you trying to steal them? The sharp, accusing words sliced through the serene ambiance of Radiant Gems, a luxurious jewelry store nestled in the heart of Asheville, North Carolina. Margaret Thompson, a graceful woman in her early 80s, stood frozen, her hand trembling as she held a fallen sapphire earring. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing the fear and confusion swirling within her. She looked up to meet the cold, unwavering gaze of Jessica Harper, a stern-faced sales associate whose eyes burned with suspicion. "I'm so sorry. I just wanted to admire the earrings up close," Margaret whispered, her voice quivering with a mix of fear and bewilderment. Jessica's eyes narrowed, her expression hardening. "Admire them? Are you trying to steal them? I'm calling the police." Margaret felt a surge of helplessness wash over her. She had walked into this store countless times, always greeted with warmth and kindness. Today, however, she was met with hostility and unfounded accusations. The weight of the moment pressed down on her, making it difficult to breathe. The soft hum of the air conditioner and the gentle clinking of jewelry filled the spacious interior of Radiant Gems. Sunlight streamed through the large front windows, casting glittering patterns across the marble floors. Elegant displays showcased an array of rings, necklaces, and bracelets, each piece meticulously arranged to highlight its brilliance. The atmosphere was one of timeless beauty and meticulous care, a testament to the dedication of its owner, Lillian Parker. At the entrance, Margaret Thompson, a serene and dignified woman with neatly pinned silver hair and a well-worn leather handbag, stepped inside. Her dark eyes sparkled with warmth as she took in the familiar surroundings of the store her son, Daniel Parker, had built from the ground up. Margaret cherished her routine of visiting Radiant Gems every few weeks, bringing Daniel a homemade lunch from her favorite deli and watching him interact with customers, sharing his passion for fine jewelry. Today was no different. She wanted to surprise him and enjoy another peaceful visit. As she wandered through the aisles, her fingers lightly brushed against the glass cases, each touch filled with nostalgia and pride. Her gaze settled on a stunning pair of sapphire earrings, their deep blue stones reminiscent of the ones she had worn decades ago. Lost in her thoughts, Margaret leaned in closer, captivated by their allure. But in her distraction, her hand slipped, causing one earring to fall softly to the floor with a barely audible clink. Margaret's heart raced. She bent down to retrieve it, her movements slow and careful, hoping no one had noticed. Suddenly, the sharp click of heels echoed behind her. She looked up to see Jessica standing over her, her expression cold and unwelcoming. "I'm so sorry. I just wanted to admire the earrings up close," Margaret began to explain, but Jessica cut her off with a harsh glare. "Admire them? Are you trying to steal them? I'm calling the police." The officer's authoritative voices reverberated through Radiant Gems, heightening the tension in the air. Margaret Thompson felt a surge of panic as she was gently but firmly guided by the two uniformed men toward the store's exit. Her mind raced, struggling to comprehend how a simple admiration had spiraled into this nightmare. "I didn't steal anything. It was an honest mistake," Margaret pleaded, her voice wavering with fear and frustration. She glanced back at Jessica Harper, whose stern expression remained unchanged, almost as if she were reveling in the chaos she had caused. As Margaret was escorted out, the once serene and elegant store now felt oppressive and hostile. The marble floors seemed colder, the sparkling jewelry mocking her in their brilliance. Daniel Parker, Margaret's son and the proud owner of Radiant Gems, had been away in a crucial meeting with a new supplier. He had trusted his staff implicitly, never imagining that one of them could harbor such blatant prejudice. Just as the last of the officers led Margaret toward the door, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed from the back of the store. Daniel burst through the entrance, his tailored suit slightly disheveled from his rushed return. His eyes widened in shock and disbelief as he took in the scene before him. His beloved mother being led away by the police, and Jessica standing with a smug, unrepentant expression. "What's going on here?" Daniel demanded, his voice a mix of confusion and anger. He swiftly approached the officers, his protective instincts kicking in. One of the officers turned to him, maintaining a professional demeanor despite the obvious turmoil. "We're responding to a theft report. This woman tried to steal an earring." Daniel's eyes softened as he looked at his mother. "Mom, what happened?" he asked, his concern evident. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Daniel quickly pieced together the misunderstanding. "Jessica, you can't accuse my mother of theft. She's my mother." Jessica's face paled as the realization dawned on her. I didn't know she was your mother. I thought." "Thought you what?" Daniel interrupted sharply. "Thought my mother was stealing from her own store." The officers exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the truth in Daniel's words. "Ma'am, can you confirm her identity?" one of them asked, a hint of doubt creeping into his voice. Daniel nodded firmly. "This is my mother, Margaret Thompson. She's the matriarch of our family and has been visiting this store for years." Margaret looked up, her eyes meeting Daniel's with a mixture of relief and gratitude. "Daniel, I didn't mean to cause any trouble." Jessica stood silent for a moment, her earlier confidence crumbling under Daniel's unwavering gaze. I apologize," she stammered, her voice barely audible. The smug expression that had dominated her face moments before was now replaced with visible remorse. Daniel stepped forward, his presence commanding and unwavering. "Jessica, your actions today were not only unprofessional but also deeply hurtful. Accusing my mother without any evidence is unacceptable and unbecoming of anyone representing Radiant Gems." He turned to the officers, his tone resolute. "I understand you have protocols to follow, but jumping to conclusions without proper investigation only serves to tarnish the reputation of this store and the community it serves. I request that you drop the charges against my mother immediately." The officers hesitated, the weight of Daniel's words sinking in. After a brief, tense discussion, they reluctantly nodded. "We apologize for the inconvenience, Mr. Parker," one of them said, though the apology felt hollow amidst the charged atmosphere. Margaret was released, her hands trembling but her spirit unbroken. She looked around the store, her eyes meeting those of loyal customers who had been witnessing the ordeal. Their silent support was a balm to her wounded pride, reinforcing the bond between the store and its community. Daniel addressed the room, his voice firm and filled with authority. "Jessica, your actions today were not only unprofessional but also deeply hurtful. You have no right to judge someone based on assumptions." Jessica, now visibly shaken, could only nod in agreement, her earlier bravado gone. "I'm sorry," she repeated, this time with genuine remorse in her voice. Without hesitation, Daniel made the decision to terminate her employment. "Effective immediately, you are no longer employed at Radiant Gems. We believe in second chances, but not at the expense of our values and the trust our customers place in us." As Jessica gathered her belongings, the atmosphere in the store began to shift. The tension dissipated, replaced by a sense of relief and solidarity among the staff and customers. Daniel's swift and decisive actions had not only saved his mother from wrongful accusation, but also reinforced the store's commitment to fairness and respect. Margaret approached Daniel, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Daniel. You stood up for what's right, just as I always knew you would." Daniel smiled, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I learned from the best, Mom. Your strength and wisdom guide me every day." The store slowly returned to its usual calm, the elegant displays now seeming even more radiant in the aftermath of the ordeal. Daniel knew that this incident had brought about necessary changes, strengthening the foundation of Radiant Gems and its place within the community. The aftermath of the incident rippled through Radiant Gems and the wider Asheville community. News of the wrongful accusations spread quickly, garnering support from loyal customers and local residents who admired Daniel's swift action to defend his mother and uphold the store's reputation. Social media buzzed with positive comments, praising Daniel and expressing outrage at Jessica's behavior. Daniel wasted no time in addressing the situation publicly. During a press conference held at Radiant Gems, he stood before reporters and community members alike. "This isn't just about my mother or our store," he stated, his voice steady and passionate. "It's about ensuring that no one else faces such baseless accusations. Discrimination and prejudice have no place in our community or our businesses." His words resonated deeply, reinforcing the importance of integrity and respect in all interactions. Meanwhile, Jessica faced the consequences of her actions. Daniel made the decision to terminate her employment immediately, emphasizing the importance of respect and fairness in his establishment. We believe in second chances, but not at the expense of our values and the trust our customers place in us, he explained. Jessica's dismissal sent a clear message to the staff and the community. Radiant Gems stood firmly against discrimination and upheld the highest standards of customer service. Determined to turn the negative experience into a positive change, Daniel implemented comprehensive training programs for his staff, focusing on cultural sensitivity and unbiased customer service. He invited community leaders and diversity experts to conduct workshops, fostering an environment of inclusivity and respect within Radiant Gems. These initiatives not only improved the store's atmosphere, but also strengthened its bond with the community, earning even more trust and loyalty from customers. Margaret, though shaken by the ordeal, remained a pillar of strength and grace. Her weekly visits continued, now greeted with even more warmth and appreciation from the staff and customers alike. Her presence became a symbol of resilience and the enduring bond between family and community. She often shared stories of her own experiences, inspiring those around her with tales of perseverance and kindness. One afternoon, as Margaret sat in Daniel's office sipping tea, she looked at him with pride. "You handled that situation beautifully, Daniel. You stood up for what's right." Daniel smiled, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I learned from the best, Mom. Your strength and wisdom guide me every day." He knew that his mother's unwavering grace had been instrumental in navigating the crisis, and her influence continued to shape his approach to business and life. Radiant Gems not only regained its reputation but flourished even more, becoming a beacon of hope and integrity in Asheville. The story of Margaret and Daniel inspired many, sparking conversations about prejudice, accountability, and the importance of standing up against injustice. Local media featured their story extensively, highlighting the impact of one family's courage on an entire community. Daniel was invited to speak at various events, sharing his experiences and advocating for fair treatment and equality in all aspects of life. Community members rallied around Radiant Gems, organizing support groups and forums to discuss ways to combat discrimination and promote inclusivity. The store became a hub for positive change, hosting events that celebrated diversity and fostered mutual understanding among different groups. Daniel's leadership turned Radiant Gems into more than just a jewelry store. It became a symbol of progress and unity. Margaret, reflecting on the events, found solace in the support she received. "It's comforting to know that our community stands together against wrongdoings. We can make a difference, one step at a time." Her words echoed the sentiments of many who had witnessed the transformation firsthand, reinforcing the idea that collective action could lead to meaningful change. As the sun set over Asheville, casting a golden hue across Radiant Gems, Margaret and Daniel stood together, watching the day come to a close. Their journey through adversity had strengthened their bond and reaffirmed their commitment to each other and their community. The challenges they faced had not only tested their resilience, but also highlighted the importance of standing up for what's right, no matter the odds. Margaret turned to Daniel, her eyes filled with hope. "This experience has taught us so much about resilience and the power of standing up for what's right." Daniel nodded, his determination unwavering. "And it's a reminder that we must continue to strive for fairness and kindness in everything we do." He knew that their story was just one of many, but it served as a powerful example of how courage and integrity could inspire change and foster a more just and compassionate world. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring tales from elderly wisdom. Until next time, remember, one step, one story, one act of courage at a time.